For much of the 20th century, the word mafia conjured images of shadowy meetings in back rooms, illicit deals, and a code of silence enforced by fear. These powerful criminal organizations seemed untouchable, their influence woven deeply into the fabric of society. But today, the landscape of organized crime is undergoing profound change. The traditional mafia, particularly as it was known in the United States and Italy, is in decline. This disappearance is not simply the result of fading old-world traditions, but rather a confluence of legal, social, and economic forces that have permanently altered the rules of the underworld and opened the door for new contenders. The downfall of the classic mafia began with the long arm of the law. In the United States, the passage of the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO, in 1970 marked a turning point. This powerful legal tool allowed prosecutors to pursue entire criminal enterprises rather than just individuals. Suddenly, leaders who once insulated themselves behind layers of lieutenants could be brought to justice. High-profile trials in the 1980s and 1990s, supported by testimony from insiders willing to break the code of silence, led to a wave of convictions. The leadership structures of families like the Gambinos, Colombos, and Genoveses were decimated. The old order, built on loyalty and fear, began to unravel. Societal changes also played a significant role. The traditional mafia relied heavily on tight-knit, often Italian-American communities for both recruitment and protection. As these neighborhoods assimilated and dispersed, the pool of potential recruits dwindled. The younger generations, integrated into broader society and offered legitimate opportunities, were less likely to be drawn into a life of crime. In places like New York, demographic shifts eroded the social foundations that once sustained organized crime families. Meanwhile, the criminal marketplace itself was evolving. New forms of organized crime emerged, better suited to the demands of a globalized digital world. International drug cartels, cybercriminal networks, and transnational gangs began to eclipse the mafia's traditional rackets: loan sharking, extortion, gambling, with faster, more lucrative, and less traceable operations. The mafia's grip on its old territories weakened as nimble and ruthless competitors filled the void. Yet, organized crime did not disappear with the decline of the mafia. It transformed. In Italy, for example, the major syndicates, Cosa Nostra, Camorra, and 'Ndrangheta, shifted strategy. Once locked in bloody rivalries, they are now more likely to collaborate, focusing on money laundering, drug trafficking, and large-scale corruption. The 'Ndrangheta, originating from Calabria, has become especially powerful, infiltrating legitimate businesses and even public infrastructure projects tied to European Union funding. Their operations now span the globe, quietly amassing wealth and influence with far less visibility than their predecessors. Elsewhere, entirely new groups are rising to prominence. In France, the DZ Mafia in Marseille has become infamous for its violence and ambition. Unlike the hierarchical mafias of old, the DZ Mafia operates with a horizontal structure, using social media both to recruit and intimidate. Its younger, more volatile members are linked to a surge in drug-related homicides, signaling a shift toward a brand of organized crime that is brazen and unpredictable. On another continent, Brazil's Primeiro Comando de Capital, or PCC, has evolved into a transnational powerhouse. The PCC prefers stealth to spectacle, expanding its influence quietly through partnerships with organizations like the 'Ndrangheta. As of 2023, it controlled over half of Brazil's drug exports to Europe and had penetrated legitimate sectors of the economy, blurring the line between crime and business. In the 21st century, organized crime is more fragmented, more global, and more adaptable than ever. The mafia, as we once knew it, may be fading, but the forces that gave rise to it, greed, opportunity, and the ability to exploit the shadows, are alive and well, now embodied by new players operating with modern methods on a global stage. The names may change, but the game endures.